Today is the 10th of May, and which is a Wednesday. So in about 5 minutes or few seconds, we're going to get the CPI news release. The CPI news release. The CPI is the Consumer Price Index. Is a red folder news that we're expecting to actually have some impact in the market. In about 5 minutes, the news is going to be released. Last time the figures were released, the CPI produced 0.1%, while the core CPI was 5%. The core CPI was 0.4, while the CPI produced 5%. So if the way this the forecast for today is 0.4 against 0.1, 5% against the previous month's 5%, while we have 0.3% against 0.4. So the way they work is that when the figures are finally released, if they are higher than the forecast, it will benefit the dollar. So the dollar will appreciate. But if they are less than what they forecast, then we expect that to make the dollar to sell off. So let's see what the dollar is currently doing. This is presently the state of the dollar. The dollar is still inside a very big consolidation. So if you've followed my reports over the past weeks, you see that I still have this point here as a potential target point where I expect the market to actually fill up. So this is what's going to happen if the values are favorable. If they are favorable, we expect the dollar to reach out for these highs here, and then eventually fill up this gap that I've pointed out for the past weeks now, about going into 2 weeks. But if the values are lesser than the forecast, then we expect the dollar to start reaching out for the lows here. The liquidity on the downside. So we are just 2 minutes away. So let's see what the Euro USD is doing, because this actually moves exactly opposite of the dollar. Euro USD. So if the values are favorable to the dollar, we expect the Euro USD to sell off and attack the liquidity that are on the downside here. But if they are not, then it will be an opportunity for the Euro USD to attack the liquidity on the upside. So that is basically, so we can see that there is a liquidity point here, a sell side liquidity point that the market will want to attack if the news are not favorable for the dollar. So if it's favorable for the dollar, the Euro USD and the GBP USD will sell off. But if they are not, then it will be an opportunity to actually make a. So this is currently what the what the GU is doing. So we have these high points here where there are liquidity, and then these points here where it's going to attack if the dollar gains strength. So in about 25 seconds, so let's go lower to go to a lower time frame. So this is what the market is looking like before the actual releasing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So the earlier indications are that the figures are lesser than the forecast. That's why the dollar is selling off. That's why it's selling off. Those are the earlier indications that we're having. They are lesser than the forecast. So to take some minutes before the values are eventually, before we can actually look at the values. So the dollar sold off. So it was easy. You should just look for the nearby liquidity points. I want to attack them. So that's why these news events are very volatile. Don't want to, best is just to sit on the sideline and allow the figures to be released, allow them inject liquidity into the market, and then that actually is good for the market. But we don't want to be in a trade when they are released. So we expect that, of course. So this is how the Euro USD. The Euro USD moves exactly opposite of the dollar. So you could see in less than 2 minutes, the market moves 37 pips, 38 pips in less than 2 minutes. This is 40 pips. So you could imagine, oh, if you were on the right side, okay, if we had set maybe a buy order, a sell order, sometimes these news can be very funny. Sometimes they don't go one-sided like this. Sometimes you see them, it may sell off and then begin to attack the buy side. So this one was just one directional. It was one directional. Let's see how other pairs that you can see the GU. The GU attacked the buy side liquidity we pointed out that it was going to take out. And for the GU in these 3 minutes, that the 45 pips. That's for the GU. The Euro USD the dollar is still selling off. The impact of the news is still very strong. So the other currencies that have the dollar, we expect them to react. This is how the AUD USD reacted. It's already taking out the liquidity on the upside here. It's also, these ones were easy. We are easy target points. NZD USD, same impact. 34 pips. Sometimes even pairs that do not have the do not have the USD. Sometimes they are also affected. You can see NZD card doesn't have the USD, but is responding. This is G card. This is G card. You know, because when the US, if the US sneezes, other countries catches cold. So you can see these currencies are not, they don't have the USD, but they are responding. They are responding to these big news events. This was an example of when I said it could sell off and at the same time buy off. This is, you can see the Euro JPY. Nothing, doesn't have the USD, but they are all these currencies. Whatever happens to the dollar affects these other currencies, whether they have the dollar or not. You see an example of selling off and buying. So it will take some minutes before the effect of the news would fade off. So let's see the actual the values. Okay, so these are the let's see how the values came out. Okay. For the core CPI, came out as 0.4%, which was favorable. For this CPI Y came out short, while the CPI M came out the exact figure. So it was this was like the main figure that actually affected the dollar that made it to sell off, because this one came out positive, but this came out short of 0.1%. The forecast was 5%, but it came out at 4.9%. That's why the dollar sold off. So it will actually, it will take some little minutes before the entire market will see the dollar on the 1 minute time, on the 5 minutes time frame. We see its impact, how strong the CPI news actually. That is the Euro USD, still on the upside. For the next 15 to 30 minutes, the impact will still be very, very, very strong. So, all right. So guys, that is it for the CPI report for the month of May. So I am going to see you in my next video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and leave your comments. They do go a long way in growing the channel. Looking forward to seeing you in my next video.